Yo, you know who it is. Griddle's hot, rumors fly, but the Baps still banging. Let's go! I'm the Batman, Belfast, born and bred. Flipping fried eggs while they talk on threads. They tweet that beef, but I bring real meat. Bacon stacked high, Bap game elite. They chat like they know me, they don't know jack. Talking mad smoke while I'm serving a stack. Hash brown hot with the yolk that runs. I break more fast than 100 nuns. They hate, they try to cancel my stand. Still flipping back.
Okay, so welcome to another edition of the Belfast Bapcast. Today's guest is none other than Darren G, a man who's walked through the gates of hell and lived to warn others about what he has saw. Once one of the most feared figures on the streets of Liverpool, Darren G grew up in a world where violence wasn't a choice. It was a condition of survival. So raised in chaos, shaped by street politics, and eventually imprisoned for over a decade. Darren knows firsthand what the system does to young men long before they're ever arrested. But instead of staying silent or selling a fantasy, he chose the hard road, speaking out truth, owning his past, and turning his pain into purpose. He's now one of the most outspoken voices against knife crime and gang culture in the United Kingdom. And this is not a redemption story wrapped in fluff. This is raw honesty, and this is earned wisdom from Darren. So, guys, this is Darren G, and only on Belfast Bapcast today. So, first question for you, Darren. Welcome, first of all.
Nice one, mate.
And really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. So, just going to go through a number of questions with you. Obviously, your life's extremely interesting, so people like to know. So the first question, just a bit of an open-ended one. What was home life like for you growing up?
What was like?
What was life like at home growing up?
We come from a rough housing estate. Dad working away from home, so a mum with 5 sons. My mum's parents came from Ireland.
Okay.
So that's our bloodline.
Okay, whereabouts in Ireland, you know?
Donegal.
Donegal, okay. So no father figure really on the scene?
Every time he was on the scene, he was a heavy-handed man who was drunk. So a lot of large families will understand that. When you've got a dad who's heavy on the drink, he's got heavy hands, hasn't he?
Yeah. How did you cope with that?
Just rebelled. We couldn't rebel in the house.
Okay.
So we rebelled on the streets, if you like.
And obviously that was all you had known. That was your environment growing up, was violence and uncertainty.
It was just. But I still consider our household like many other households back in them times. You know, there was loads of kids like us getting physically and psychologically abused by their parents.
Yeah. I mean,
so we ended up in care. We all ended up in care at an early age, and then got spread out throughout the city.
Okay. And what age were you personally whenever?
Around 13, 14, 12, 13, 14, around the ages.
And was that due to issues that your mother had, or due to like criminal involvement that you were?
No, well, at this age, there weren't really that much of a organised crime group type of problem. We just had notorious families who had certain areas locked down, so it weren't as rife as. Now you've probably got 14, 13-year-olds involved in that stuff in a deep way, whereas back then, 14, 13-year-olds wasn't. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So the reason we got split up is because we were just uncontrollable for our mother. So we'd have, when we're on the streets, we'd be smashing house windows of neighbours and have people coming to the houses, and then would rob cars of the local drug dealers, have them coming to the houses threatening us. So, you know, that's how it all started going wrong. The physical abuse.
People are very quick to blame the parents, etc. But your mother there was in a, you know, her hands tied behind her back situation, trying to raise 5 kids by herself and discipline them at the same time. And young boys like yourself are going to rebel. So that's an impossible. It's an impossible task. And then, you know, she's going to be lambasted by, oh, the mother this, the mother that, but the mother's in an impossible situation.
Well, this is what the authorities do. In the UK, what they started doing years ago was targeting the parents of the children. Yeah. But they wouldn't target them in like arrest and thingy. They just splat the face across the media. I know you make them feel ashamed and
worthless and
not wanting to come out the house and go to the shop like they used to because people are looking at them uncomfortable. And this is what the authorities do to a lot of single parents, if you like.
Are very quick to stereotype an entire people also. You know, they love the hype and the stories of like the criminality, but they don't talk about what you know, environmental causes has led to that criminality, and you know what lack of services and the money being redirected to things that are of no real benefit to humanity. You know, it's a clear.
That's the criminality from the bureaucrats, and from the politicians.
Well, they're the biggest criminals.
Yeah, but if we're talking about criminality within our communities and what's destroyed our communities and what's destroyed our families and what's making loads of our young men be raised by single parents, you've got to look at the drug supply issue.
That and the welfare system that incentivizes single motherhood. You know, it's a hand-in-hand situation, and then the drug supply within the United Kingdom currently is insane. I mean, it's the purity of the drugs coming through now is next level.
But the point I'm making is when you think of my life was destroyed because of drinking drugs.
Yeah, but it was
by my parents. So the point I'm making is, look, drinking drugs within our communities, when it wasn't drugs, the drink was still ruining our families because men would get physical with the birds, with our mothers, and they'd be heavy-handed with the kids if they didn't do as they told. So the men would fight each other. But then when the drugs came in, it started absolutely ripping families to pieces. One child with an addiction is a family, and a percentage of that community destroyed.
100%, yeah. And with your own personal situation, how much of your getting involved in criminality, etc., was, do you think, environmental, and how much was like conscious choice? Like, you know, you're clearly not a stupid guy. You're intelligent, and I'm sure that's been the same from youth. So, you know, a lot of people, I know that myself, I got involved in stuff as a kid that I was fully aware of and made conscious decisions, often blamed past traumas or whatever. I'm sure they played a part, but for yourself, how much do you think was environmental and how much do you think was personal choice with regards to getting involved?
Yeah, it's about, for me, Mark, it's about the age.
Yeah, okay.
I believe at a certain age you can't make conscious choices and decisions that are correct. If you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and you're getting sent on this path, you're being left to get on this path. If you're expelled from school, you're in the care system, something, whatever, you're not really making choices. You're just going with the flow. It's only when you get to like 14, 15, 16, 17, you start, now you're consciously deciding to participate in them behaviour patterns.
So I would imagine, to be honest, you probably clicked on a lot earlier given the traumas you were exposed to.
Well, I went to jail at 14 for my first ever prison sentence. So I got 15 months detained at 14. Okay. And what that means is you do the full 15 months.
Yeah.
So when I've done that and got out the other side, I'm already trying to change my life, but now I've got a criminal record. So I go in at 14 and get out when I'm 16. And I'm automatically trying to fix my life, but I can't. So now you're just living this life
You're
and
caught
having
in the middle.
to do the best you can in it.
So obviously a lot of your criminal past involved your brother. Whenever like the two of you notoriously terrorized the streets of Liverpool, as well as portrayed as in the media anyway. Like how do you get is it a snowball effect? Does it sort of like what you're saying there, you don't really click on until a certain point and you're like sort of in the middle of this chaos, or did it just slowly descend, or what? Was
So
just things
where we lived in Liverpool, we lived right next to Liverpool's grounds. So we lived like not even less than a quarter of a mile from Anfield's ground. That's where our estate is, the Grisdale estate, and that's where we were born. So we're expelled from schools at early ages. So we're on the streets and we're thieving and we're robbing cars of the supporters who go to the match. So when you'd have the supporter driving to Anfield's ground, they'd park the car up in the local area, go the game, and we'd ransack it. Now that was at an early age. That's how we started delving into crime.
Okay.
So my little J, the way you said me and Daniel, and we've had this like, me and Daniel since we were children, I've spent no longer than 2 years together on the streets.
Okay.
So from about 2001 to 2004, me and Danny are on the streets together, and we haven't been like that since kids, because we've been in. So I'd be in jail, I'd get out, Danny would be in jail, I'd get out, Danny would be in jail, and we'd never see each other, and we were never allowed in the same jail because we had an incident in a prison. We were never allowed in the same prison again together. So there's a big thing like the G's, but in reality, we've always been separate entities.
Yeah.
But because 100%. The name, so if I'm in jail and Danny's in jail, you would have had our younger brother Stephen out, and he would have been acting mad, doing violent things. So instead of them calling him Stephen G, they'll just be saying the G's. So what would normally happen, you'd go into prison and the out of sight, out of mind effect would normally kick in.
Yeah.
But while we're in prison, we've still got other brothers outside thinking they're mad. So it's a constant, for a decade or two, the G's, and that effect makes you notorious. And then the media amplify and make you look 10 times worse than what you already are. So although we were a naughty little group of brothers, although we were violent, although we weren't like numerous other groups in the area, but we just got made the example of.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, Mark, I feel it was all to do with, because when I was growing up on our estate, most of the families on our estate come from Irish descent.
Okay.
So with Irish families, what would happen is you'd have 4, 5, 6, 7 kids in the one unit.
Yeah.
And most of the other families didn't really have that. And what I was witnessing, like you had the Collinses, and that was an Irish family of 5 boys, and the authorities targeted them and destroyed them. And then you're seeing it with the Roaches and other Irish immigrant families with large, like loads of boys. It's like the system targeted us on purpose.
I think that's why
broke us down.
Liverpool's notorious for claiming not to be part of the United Kingdom, because you
It's a
know,
valid, it's a
they
valid
have
point
been
what I'm making there.
discriminated. Yeah,
Well, Liverpool's basically a spitting image of Dublin or Belfast.
yeah, yeah.
The housing
And the
estates
same
are the
cultures.
same. The morals are the same. The problems are the same. The biggest
Well,
problem for
that's
all of us doesn't matter if you're in Ireland, Scotland, Liverpool. The biggest problem for us all is organised crime and the distribution of drugs and the murders that they create to solve it.
yeah, yeah, very much so. And I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I have asked you on to the Belfast Bapcast, because the similarities between the streets of Liverpool and the streets of Belfast are very, very similar. And
The
although it's on a
same
very
way.
smaller scale over here, it's still very, very relevant. But going back to early times for you, you were incarcerated at quite a young age and done a decade nearly, was it?
Yeah, well, I was in care, me mate. I went into care at an early age, and then I got me 15 months detained. Not 15 years, 15 months.
15 months, yeah.
So I went in at 14, got out when I was 16, and then tried to correct my way. I even tried to join the army, but I was 2 years too young, and I had a criminal conviction. So I just ended up in this cycle.
Yeah. And a lot of people, like I've experienced the care system as well. So a lot of people, you know, cross over whenever I was in prison. It was a lot of people that, well, 99% of the people went through the care system also. And it's, you know, a continuation of almost the state failing them from childhood to adulthood and never offering rehabilitation.
Well, just like over here, Mark, you've got two systems available to the youth. Just like you have over there where you are, you've got two systems that was available to you. The same systems are available to the kids over there now. And that's the education system or the justice system. And any kid that can't conform to the education system, be told what to do, be sat down, be quiet, be controlled. If they can't, they get kicked out, or they get put in some halfway sort of education system, which makes them worse. Then they
Yeah.
get kicked out, and then before long, 6 to 12 months, they're touching the court system, they're touching the white peace system, and once they've touched them doors, it's like a revolving door effect, and they're
Yeah, the
doing that for the next
recidivism
20 years.
and they're all privately owned prisons now, so there's a monetized
The legislation that they're
incentive to
bringing
get
in,
people into these places as well.
the
Quotas to
legislation that
fill.
they're starting to bring in to do with law and order and justice and crime, the majority of it is to target the youth.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, what probably at least 80 to 90% of the people that you'll come across in the prison system are there in some way, shape, or form connected with drug possession, drug use, drug dealing, drug whatever, drug-related violent crime. It always comes back to these things, and I know Sean Atwood's a big proponent of the legalization of drugs and all the rest, and you know, obviously that's a very nuanced area, but certainly whilst things like cannabis and things that are used regularly are regulated or criminalized, there's going to be an underground alternative. You know, like it makes
There's always going to be one alternative, and that's the crime world. You don't want to start establishing not the crime world, maybe, and then crime. Do you understand? You don't need layers of
black
what's
or
wrong
white.
and what's right. The bottom line is drug taking at any level belongs in the crime world. You can't start legitifying it for the youth and thinking if you legalise cannabis in Ireland, you're not going to destroy the minds of the youth en masse. If you sit there and think that, it's stupid. You're just going to ruin your future. The future of all our existence comes from the children.
Yeah.
Everything. The children are the future. We don't want their minds poisoned by substances. We've got to understand, right, within our communities where we're raised, we get given a certain level of education. we get given certain prospects. We also get given the disadvantages of unemployment when you've got that education. We've got the crime, we've got the drug dealing, we've got the murders, we've got the sexual offenders. Leave the grape, leave the immigrants and this illegal stuff over there a second, because most of the shit we're feeling in our cities is being happening before these type of individuals will start coming in. Do you understand?
Well,
And
I've seen you recently.
if we don't start protecting the youth from crime, once they step into crime, it's like any employment prospect. It's like any career. You'll start in the shallow end and you'll end up in the deep end. So if you've got a young child on your estate that does not involve themselves with crime, but now they're being encouraged to smoke cannabis, the only place they're going to get cannabis is off the criminal at the bottom of the road. So now this young girl who wants to experience cannabis because everyone's encouraging it now, goes down there and starts talking to a criminal. If she meets him a few times later, she's talking like them. She wants to be around him. Now she might become a girlfriend to one of them.
Yeah,
and this is how it spreads.
Yeah. And for you personally, like obviously you've done that 15 months, but you've done a lot longer in adult jail. And people don't realize the reality.
I've done so from that first sentence when I was 14, I had 2 birthdays and 2 Christmases out.
And the rest was all inside?
Yeah, so from the age of 13, 14 to the age of 24, I had 2 birthdays and 2 Christmases. And my birthday's in December.
Okay.
So I'm in and out of custody, in and out of custody, in and out of custody. And then at 24, I get an 18-year prison sentence.
And what did that take away from you? Obviously, apart from time and years, but it's bound to have stripped away parts of your being. I mean, like, knowing that you've got that long ahead of you where you have little to no control over any aspect of your life is bound to be a daunting. Like, please explain what were the feelings like? What was like whenever you first walked in, knowing that you had 18 years to face? How did you feel?
Well, when I first got into custody for me 18, well, I was on remand for 3.5 years. So I initially started when I got arrested. They arrested me for a conspiracy to murder.
Okay. And
then they placed me in custody. And then I'm in custody then for close to 3 years. And what they've done while I'm in custody, they came up and charged me with like conspiracy to possess firearms, conspiracy to buy Class A drugs, conspiracy to blackmail, all these offences with no evidence. But it just kept me on remand for ages.
Okay.
And during that 2.5 year period, I'd been getting told by my legal team, you're getting 35 to 40 years recommendation. So what that means is mandatory. It means you will do the 35 years, 40 years before parole. So even before I've got near the trial for my conspiracy to murder,
all hope's gone.
I've established in my mind I'm getting a guilty and I'm getting 30, but I've got nothing to lose, so let's run a trial. Now all my codees got acquitted. I had 4 codees. They all got acquitted.
Okay.
And then I ended up getting a conviction. And the judge shocked everyone and gave me a straight 18-year prison sentence, which means I got a release date. So when I got sentenced, the jail's nothing because I've been doing jail since a kid.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? So when I got my 18-year sentence, I was relieved.
Because you thought you were facing 35 to 40 years?
Yeah, I'd established it in my mind. This
so
is the rest of my life going forward.
Walked into that 18-year sentence with a bit of hope then?
So do you understand what I mean? When I've gone in there with the 40 wreck on me, thinking, right, this is him taking it, and he just went, I'm
it's
giving you a release date. It's
it?
just like nothing else matters. Okay.
That's unbelievable. And
Yeah, so
that give you something obviously to fucking work towards, because 35 to 40 years would take the legs out
yeah,
from
you're done.
underneath.
You're a dead man walking.
100%. And from the day you walk in and start that sentence, I would imagine mentally you're a dead man walking, because you know you're never.
You're a dead man walking, like. In the city of Liverpool now, you're getting 35-year-old lads, 38-year-old lads who were caught up in organised crime for 10 years, some 5 years, some 2 years. They get involved in a murder, they get nicked. There's lads who I know, loads of them, who stayed in there, and they're doing 38 recommendations, 42, 27s, loads of them are dead. And these are 38 years old, and they've got 38 years to do before they're even considered for release. And I know the conditions in prison
Are harsh.
the way you are in prison, the way you've got to be hyper vigilant round the clock, the way you've got to watch your back, the way it's all psychological, it's stress. You don't realise it till later on. So by the time half of these lads who go to prison in 38 years old, even the young lads who are 22 in this city, in Liverpool, getting 35 years before they're considered, by the time they get to 56 years old and considered for parole, they're pissing the bed.
Yeah. And what,
due to the stress, you've got all what they're not realising. Like you've got David, you've got Mark, you've got quite a few lads who have got over 30 years, and they got that when they was 30, 31, 37. So they're in the mid-60s, close to 70 years of age, and they're pensioners' years. And that lifestyle, the diet, the lack of fresh air, you can't even get yourself off the bed. So that's why I say they're dead men walking. They won't even want to get out of prison now.
And your time in prison, obviously, I don't want to spend any time glorifying the crime or whatever, but
no, the crime was a very, very stupid, silly, emotional mistake, mate, which created pure trauma for all sorts of people.
And your time in incarceration, to sound like an American there, what was that just like constant self reflection, or what? Obviously,
what was my time like in prison?
Yeah, like from a mentality point of view,
it was like a second chance. Okay. So it took the second chance, if you understand what I mean. It was like, whilst I was on remand and that, I was still in a mess for a couple of years. And then once I got into my sentence, I was half thinking anything. And then I entered this thing called offender behaviour program called the Sycamore Tree. Like a Christian charity. And it was all about the Sycamore Tree and the road of redemption and stuff. And from that moment on, that's when I like rejigged myself inside out whilst I'm in custody. And then when I've got out of custody, I'm just expecting to crack on with my life, but my past and the people from the past.
Obviously, that's going to follow you around, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're making it. They made it extremely difficult for me to just get out, have a wife, have kids, get a job, and get on with my life. They just made it too hard.
Well, that's going to come partly from jealousy, because you have been able to get out, you know.
But what's happened is I've got out, mate, and I'm on this journey. I'm on this journey already, because whilst I was on licence from the sentence, I was only on 18 months licence. So we'll get out in 2016. I'm on licence till December 2017 and go straight to Liverpool, where I weren't allowed to go whilst I was on licence, the conditions. So we end up in my mum's house. And within 3 months of that, a group from Ireland have tried to get me shot dead on my ma's step. So then everything's just gone erratic. So for a few years, everything's went mad for me. I've managed to stay on track. I've managed not to pick a weapon up and retaliate. I've managed to not live off financial from crime, nothing, all that.
The first place that I seen one of your interviews was on, unfortunately, James English podcast. Now, I'm not going to get into all that nonsense with you. That's been and gone.
Well, what one did you see?
I've seen your original one. I've seen pretty much all your interviews. To be fair, Sean out with James English, but any of them that you've been on, I've given a watch. And there's a lot of people that, like Mr. English there, who have thought they could use you. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But you've clearly got intelligence.
No one. What it is, Mark? No one. What it was with him. Because I'm fresh out of jail and I've got this bit of a nasty, horrible reputation, and I've done this podcast and when he started doing mad, horrible shit to me, and I started, hang on a minute, everyone thought I was the wrong one in the situation. So it was me that was getting like my character assassinated. It was me that was getting targeted and shut down, and it was horrendous. And every so often he'd just pop up with another little group and do it to me. And there was never any, I was just getting on with it. And then the other week, like 3-4 months ago, alongside these other lads, they all just popped up back on social media, chatting major nonsense. Like he's just done a podcast with some woman and tried to absolutely defamate me, if you get what I'm saying.
Okay.
But it's all untrue.
I mean, you would think he would be thankful for the additional views and subscribers.
So when I went on his podcast, Mark, it was raw, it was emotional, and it was powerful. And this, I think on YouTube channels, you can go back and look at the numbers when they first began and how they've done. You can see it all. So if you go back to like 2018 and see my first podcast, you'll see he was sitting at something like 140,000. My interview, and then bang, he's like over 250,000, and then he kept climbing on the back of each interview. Yeah. But that's the name of the game with them. That's what they do. They suck you dry, don't they, and leave you.
Well, it depends what you're in it for, really. Do you know what I mean? I started a podcast to bring like awareness about stuff that people in this country really don't talk about, and if money comes off the back of that, so be it. I've already got a business.
What I mean is, Mark, like you've got podcasters that are in it for not just the money. It's either to raise awareness, promote a business, encourage this, inspire that, whatever it is. But then you've got the criminal aspect, like you have in everything. And they'll pop in and fund this platform and sponsor it.
Well, yeah.
When I'm speaking on this Irish group, I'm unaware that English is this Irish group. So when I'm writing this Irish group off for trying to kill me in 2018, you know what I've just said? I'm doing podcasts with him. And then I'm starting to scream about them and they're his associates. So it got all scatty. But
that would get a bit messy, really, wouldn't it? I mean,
it got messy dead fast, which is all witnessed. You're seeing the cancellation unfold. You're seeing like MTK Global Associates, like your Herberts and all these other individuals linked to that group, all coming at me trying to cancel me on social media. Don't forget, I'm just some kid fresh out of prison.
Yeah,
but I've got half of YouTube trying to cancel me. I must have been very important.
That you're saying something that's clearly hitting home somewhere if these amount of people
definitely.
are coming at you.
Well, it was, mate. I'm screaming about them trying to kill me and what they're doing in Liverpool. So you've got this individual called Daniel Kinahan. You might be aware of him, and they're a well-known family in Ireland.
We're aware of him over here, that's for sure. Yeah.
Right. So him and his organisation had it in for me because of one of their workers in Liverpool. And they tried to get me shot dead on the 17th of March 2018 on my mum's front doorstep. So it started getting scatty for me then. So when I found out who's tried to kill me, I started screaming about them and what they're doing in the city of Liverpool and how many alleged murders are tied to that group and their people. And you know what the destruction are doing through the peddling of drugs. That's what I start screaming about on them. Because I'm already speaking about Liverpool drug dealers anyway.
But obviously,
You know, I'm not happy. I'm seeing my life was destroyed by drugs, and I've participated in dealing with them. But I've got an older brother. He hung himself, and a big part of that suicide was due to his drug taking.
Yeah.
I've had his 13-year-old daughter telling me she's being encouraged to say, I've come out of my mum's house and I'm seeing the local drug dealer that's been there before I went to jail now selling drugs to young mums who's got kids in prams, and I'm just going, whoa, stop, this isn't happening no more.
Yeah,
so as soon as I took that position upon the criminal fraternity in my local area, screaming at them for dealing drugs to young kids on the estate and that, it just went wrong for me. Well, it never went wrong. It went the way I didn't expect it to go the way it did, but it did. And I haven't backed down. I've just continued on screaming and shouting about the damage and the destruction within our cities. And it's not just in the UK, it's in Ireland more.
It's admirable though, because there's very few have the intestinal fortitude to stand up and talk about anything, never mind stuff that has the possible repercussions of death, you know. And that shows true content of character, you know, that anybody that doubts if Darren G has changed, I mean, the very fact that you are willing to continue to speak out in the face of death about these ills in our society should answer anybody's question that clearly this is a reformed guy.
Well, you know what, Mark? Sorry to interrupt you, mate. It's a very, very dangerous thing to do, and that's why there's not many people doing it on this side in the UK, in Liverpool. There's no one willing, and you get all these hard cases. Yeah, what you mean? We're just not willing to grass. But what I'm doing is not grassing, mate. What I'm doing is encouraging that young man not to participate in destroying his fucking own people in his community, on his city. Don't start taking drugs. Why? Because you're going to have to supply that addiction, and the only people that are going to suffer are the houses around you and the businesses and the people. I just can't understand why us generations who was fucked by the influx and drugs in the early 90s, we all ended up in a mess, most of us. We all end up experimenting with something. Yeah. Why we can't see the destruction that's happening with the youth now when they're experiencing things like balloons, ketamine, cannabis, and all these other little daft substances that's going to lead these kids into madness. In Ireland, you've got some real decent men who've got some real staunch backgrounds, and they can see the destruction to the communities through the drug dealers. There's no Robin Hood effect with these people. You know, they're just destroying families, our own bloodlines, absolutely ruining us, taking the money and partying abroad. It's not as if they're destroying it here and then banging accommodation for young single women with kids who are in bail hostels. They're not. Do you understand? There's no it's just pure evil, greed. Yeah. It's not good.
And on the note of evil, what was the worst thing that you seen personally inside whenever you were incarcerated?
I've seen all sorts, mate. I've witnessed see what they've done in the prison system. You used to have categories, so you'd have like 16 and under.
Okay.
And then you'd have like 16 to 18 under, then 18 to 21, then 21 over. And what the justice system in the country done, it removed the middle category. So the way you used to have like age up to 18, then 18, 21, then 21 up, they removed the 21. So now you've got 18-year-olds right up in prisons. So basically you've got young boys of 18 on prison wings with men who were 30 and 32 in for nasty offences. So in Woodhill Prison, it was it's been witnessed that when this rule's kicked in, you've had a young boy dragged in a cell with 3 or 4 rapists, and he fucking went in on him. But what I've witnessed myself, I've seen boiling oil on someone's face, skins off the faces. I've seen just boiling water with sugar. That does enough damage by itself. I've seen all sorts of people getting
shanked
up.
So,
I've seen pens, just a normal biro pen, stuck in people's fods and in their eyes. And so jail's horrendous. Doesn't matter where you're doing it. It's horrendous. Yeah. It's a complete change of character. If your son has never been to jail before and he's mixing with a group who's jail bait, this is what I call the lads on your estate. On your estate, you've got lads. You'll have groups of lads. And in that group, you'll have decent kids, and then you'll have the jail bait. You'll have the ones that are getting nicked and getting arrested and going into custody, getting back out and mixing. You need to understand how risky it is having your kid with these lads who are jail bait. Because once your kid participates in something with him and he goes to jail with him, you've lost your child.
They're coming at a different guy. Yeah.
Completely. If your kid goes into prison for 6 months, he's not the same kid when he gets out the other side. He won't be able to speak to you the same. He won't even be able to live under the same roof as you no more. And this is why it's important that you prevent your young lads getting caught up in this materialistic bullshit to do with money, drugs and gangs. It's the group thinking. It's dangerous.
On that note then, so if it was possible and knowing what your character was like at 13 and all the rest, what would Darren G now say to Darren G then that would have any sort of possibility of making you change your mind?
Just what I scream all the time, mate. Choose a life, not a knife. And the detail within that shout. You know, when we're growing up, we never had no intervention like me, because no one was willing to intervene the way I am. And
but
people say you're not doing nothing. But when you're screaming about some of the most serious organised crime groups, not just in the city of Liverpool, but the world, you're doing something. And I'm not doing it for glory. I'm not doing it for fame. I don't earn nothing off this. I'm isolated due to this. I've got serious threats on me and everything. So it's not like I'm gaining from it. The only thing I am gaining is the redemption inside. I participated in that shit, and this is my way of fixing it. In that process, I've had many a friends dead. I've had very close kids sat next to me shot dead. And I'm not willing to let him die in vain. I'm not willing to get out of jail and start continuing to live in the life I was living in when I seen this young lad lose his life. I'm not willing to let him die in vain. So now I just do my thing.
What I'm trying to ask is, though, you know, when you were a child and living that life, and you know, when you're a kid, you think you're fucking invincible and you do whatever. What would have got through you at that age? What intervention would have spoke to you?
Love.
Yeah.
Love.
Something that's simple, isn't it?
It seems simple, seems like, but what the understanding is half of us young lads get lost because we don't feel cared for. If I could go back to a 17-year-old me who just got out of that first prison sentence, what I would have said was, don't panic, take your time. Take your time. Because we just rush. We're all on this rush thing, like you've got to get everything done and you fuck up on the rush. Whereas if you just take your time and embrace your process, you're not going nowhere. You're here now. It's like, this is your hour of judgment. You've got 60, 70 years here. How do you want to be? If you conduct yourself right and do things right, you'll be sound, you'll have a peaceful, tranquil life. It doesn't matter what's going on outside of you. You'll manage to get through this stage of life and focus on what's happening next. Or you can ruin it. You can take drugs. You can be in and out of prison all your life. You can be in short-term relationships all your life. You can have kids and not look after them, feel guilty later on, probably end your own life because of it. You can go through all this depressive shit if you want. You're not going nowhere. You're going to end up back on the same estate. Even if you go into jail and you get 10 years, 10 years later, nothing's changed. You come back out, you get back on the estate, and you're you again, nothing. Starting again, trying to rebuild, trying to get into a relationship that you can't because your character's fucked off the prison. So you're not going nowhere till you pass through. And until you pass through, you're best just getting on a little safe journey where you've got regular income, where you can raise kids, embrace your community, and try and prevent other kids fucking their ways up.
Would you say routine is a very important thing for young men, especially? Like some form of routine and structure?
It's the structure more than the routine, mate. So in the sense of, look, every morning when I was a kid, I would be up, sharp, showered, dressed, and then I'd be sat there with fuck all to do. And that's what I mean. Every kid you're probably speaking about, most of them, they're up, sharp, dressed, washed, looking good, but then they've got nothing to do. There's no structure there for them. So what do you expect a kid to do with a criminal record? Because most of them have got them now. So what do you expect them to do? They can't come out at 9 o'clock feeling fresh, going to work. So they've got to improvise.
100%. And I think that society is so quick to just label people, like once they've
criminalising them.
You know, once they've had
a
incentive crime or whatever, like it is possible for people to have a few bad years in life and fuck up and change, you know. Everybody's made bad decisions in life. Everybody's thought things that wouldn't like other people to know the thought, and everybody said things that wouldn't like to, you know, have other people hear. And I just think people are so quick to judge, especially like it's easy to judge criminals because they're, you know, the dregs of society or whatever, but in reality they're the results of a shit society, and our inability to look after our people is why we have criminals in the first place, because no happy person and no well-adjusted person ever goes out and commits a crime. On the whole, shall we say, because nothing's 100%, but we have a lot to answer.
At the same time, though, Mark, at the same time, every one of us at a particular age have got opportunities to recognise and heed warnings that the universe or God gives us.
Yeah,
you've got opportunity. Every one of us, young criminals who end up to become either messed up addicts or notorious criminals. That's what you end up when you're in this world. You either become a sophisticated criminal or a damaged one. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And
if you don't start, if you can't, if you don't prevent the kids getting into crime, if you don't encourage the kids to encourage their mates not to participate in crime, all you're breeding on our estates is career criminals.
Do you mind if I pause? Pretty much as what he's doing in September, his family gathering is a facial recognition gathering, so they can work people out in crowds and other such things. And
I mean, it's to identify risk, isn't it?
Yeah, it's insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, get all the people who are disgruntled together in one place and then facial recognition. Here we go.
This is it. Just that's what it is. So that without these, because everyone that attends that event is not like horrible or evil or got some hidden agenda. They're going because they're concerned about the children and what's happening in the country. They're not right wing. They're not like anti-Islam. They're just concerned, majority of them. But he is being placed without the people knowing.
And paid for.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Well, he the media have put him on a stage of representation for the UK. So now, for some reason, he's the face of all British and English people when he's not. But the media have made him so.
Or they certainly
now
have
this
made him the
event,
face.
this event that he's held on the 13th is basically a right-wing motivational event.
Yeah.
Because everyone he's bringing over, everyone he's getting to speak, basically, has got nothing to do with free speech, really. What they want to speak about is pure division. And Tommy Robinson is a divisionalist, and he's there to destabilise what's happening in our country. That's what he's doing.
The whole right-left paradigm is a complete destabilization fucking nonsense. It's the illusion of choice, you know, and nothing ever changes. You get angry at one man for 8 years, and then they put somebody else in to piss you off, and it's somebody behind the scene. Yeah, it's
mind control at the end of the day, mate. And this is why, like, I've started thinking about how controlled groups in society are. And if you look at the people of religion, and how Ireland's still intense in it.
So
but the UK's lost its value in Christianity.
Ireland has as well, unfortunately.
No, but this isn't unfortunately. This is meant to be, because our communities drink and we take substances. So we've lost control of our minds. You know, our substances, our addictions, our things control our minds now. Before that, it was religion. Every one of us would attend church, would go to church schools, would do prayer. Everything's just slowly eradicated due to us losing the faith.
But I think even that system came with its problems. I would certainly agree that removing God from society has ruined society, but the institution of church, both Catholicism and English church and Protestant churches in general, control and division, and that is the whole way down. I mean, if you're tax exempt, you're not a church, you're not preaching the truth. You know, if the government okays you, you're not talking truth. You know.
Yeah. So if you think about what I'm saying with mind control, and then you look at the Islamic community. So, for example, look, I said this today on my live stream to people to make them understand what I'm saying. Mind control is something that can get you all if you let it. So if you had a big room, see these two screens?
Yeah.
You got me, you got you, haven't you? Now, if that side, your side, was just full of Christian lads from the city of Liverpool, and then this side's full of Christians and their culture, now they are in their communities, and this side is Islamic and Muslims, and how they are in their communities, you'd be able to see the level of chaos here within the Christian communities because they've lost control. And then you'd see the level of control that they've got on the Islamic world. So if you were to put them two images in front of you and watch them for like 7 days, you will see a well-rehearsed, controlled bunch of people. And then you'd see a chaotic, controlled bunch of people. That makes sense?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's born out of, like...
One of the reasons why there isn't Islamifying most of the world, because of the control.
Yeah, in my case, it's complete mind control in the Islamic community. The Christians and Western society in general have got too fucking smart for their own boots, and like started, you know, thinking for the sake of thinking and hypothesizing about different stuff. And, you know, instead of just getting down to the brass tacks of you're here to do good and, you know, leave behind, you know, a good legacy, as opposed to here
the spiritual aspect of life's kicking in now. And I believe the little journey I've been on has led me to Christ.
That's fantastic.
Christ is not church. Christ is not cloth. Christ is not man. It's a spiritual aspect of Jesus. So if you know the story of Jesus, which I know, you know, I'm a staunch Roman Catholic from a kid, but I've lost my faith in the church. And when I lost my faith in the church, I lost my faith in the reason I lost my faith in the church was because of all the stories about what they were doing to Irish boys back in the day. So I lost me, and other things. So I lost my faith in the church, in the cloth, in that sort of establishment. But and then because I lost my faith in the church, I lost my faith in Jesus. So now I'm lost. Now I'm going on a mad one. My life's going a bit scatty because I've turned me back on the only source of guidance I've had since a kid, which was Jesus and the church. And that happened to thousands of us. Turned our back on the church. When we turned it on the church, we turned it on Jesus, thinking Jesus is the same thing, but he's not. So now I've went on a full round and come back now. And every time you hear about the Lord Jesus, you'll understand that he's the body of Christ.
Yeah.
The body of Christ, the Holy Spirit, the spiritual aspect of Christ. And what that is, the body of Christ is a body of consciousness. And that's where I'm at.
You're a Christian?
You can believe in Christ and the consciousness of Christ, which is risen, which is here. If you believe, you can connect to the consciousness of Christ and he will fulfill you and guide you. And that's what I'm on. I'm on that journey away from the church, away from any book of law. I'm being guided by a fulfillment that every one of us can connect to. And that's the Spirit of Christ, the Holy Spirit of Christ. Focus on that, not the church. How long have you been going to church for? Have your prayers been answered? I've been on this mission with Christ now for about 5 or 6 years, and every one of my prayers is becoming into reality. Every one of them. Why? Because I'm on a journey with Christ, not the church.
And would you say, like, obviously, you know, to become a Christian, you ask for forgiveness. Do you feel that in your soul? Do you feel forgiven?
It feels like I'm not. It's not for me. I don't know if I've been forgiven, and what I'm doing is not for forgiveness
inside you.
Huh?
But what I'm trying to get at is the Christ aspect. Like, what change and what shift has that made internally in you and your feelings?
What this is doing with this, it's given me purpose. So when I turned me back on the church because of the allegations, turned me back on Jesus, my purpose went, my directions went. Yeah. I was doing shit you shouldn't be doing. Tapped back into Christ, believed in him, allowed him in, and now them empty voids that I'd looked somewhere else to fulfill, he's filling them. So, for example, what I always say to people is, when you've got no empathy, you're lacking Christ, basically. So if you can speak to someone like shit, like your mum, and you call her all the names under the sun, you're lacking Christ here. Once you let him in, the next time you speak to your mother like that, he will make you feel guilty. He will let you know you shouldn't open your mouth like that to any woman. This is what he does. He molds you. And I feel the process he's putting you through is a process of cleaning your spirit. Because where you want to end up, you can't have dirty spirits in there. You've got to be pure.
You have to be like Christ.
And this is what he does. He enlightens you from within. Yeah. He gets rid of all that poisonous, that dirty feelings, that manipulative dirty, that we all develop in this earthly ways. We all develop these deficits as human beings because we're not sure of the journey we're on. But a lot of us are tapping into the spiritual journey, and the people that do start getting fixed from him by the Christ and its presence. Honestly,
you have a very good way of articulating that as well. That's probably one of the best ways.
All you've got to do is believe in Christ. Come away from the church. You might be an avid church goer, and it might be part of your routine, but when you're in there, you're feeling traumatic. When you go to the church, let's have it right. You're thinking of the dead. You shouldn't be putting yourself there, and you shouldn't be thinking of the dead on such occasion like that. You can have a personal journey with Christ And the only way into the afterlife, into heaven, if you've got them beliefs, the only way there is through the Spirit of Christ. So the sooner you connect to the consciousness of Christ, the sooner your spirit is becoming like Christ. And then you are a body of Christ, just like Jesus. He's a vessel, just like you're a vessel. Within your body, you've got energy, you've got soul, you've got a consciousness. That consciousness gives you a perception. When you're working on your insides, your perception levels get higher along with your conscious levels. Once you start tapping into this, you're seeing things that 90% of the people around you can't see. And that's how it works.
It's obviously working very well for yourself because, like previously stated in the podcast here, prison is a revolving door. The recidivism rate is through the roof, and the fact that you've been able to stay out and stay away from crime for this length of time is also a testament to the work that Christ has done in your life and the work that you've done with Christ in your life.
You know what keeps me going? You know what makes me secure? And I've had so many attacks on my life, and every time I survive it, I give Christ the credit. There's only one reason I'm still here, and because I'm delivering a message of choose a life, not a knife. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's keeping the youth away. Not all of them. It could do if it got the right support, but it has been for the last 9 years. It's been taking kids away from a life of pure traumatic consequences and their families. Because if you've got a nice little family there, and there's 2 sisters and 2 sons, and one of them sons goes out and starts participating in gun crime, and that whole family is destroyed. Not just the young kid who's ended up in a mess. The whole family.
So there's two specific groups of people I would like you to try and give a message to. So young single mothers out there, what would you say, who are raising young men especially, what would be your advice?
To young single mothers?
Raising young men especially, yeah.
It's important, because what happens is that I speak about this a lot because I've got a lot of and what I say to them is, yeah, you've had a nasty fallout with the dad. You've had a crazy fallout with the dad. And let's have it right. Some men are nasty, horrible and disgusting, and they don't deserve to get in the vicinity of kids and the girlfriends if they've done that shit.
Yeah, 100%.
But if there's an absence, if there's a male absence, if there's a male dominant absence in your child's life, you need to try and replace and fill the void. And don't go and replace it with next man straight away. Keep yourself to yourself. Get your emotions back. You've suffered a lot of damage off that first relationship. Don't start bringing other men into it. Use your granddad, use your dad, your brother, your uncle. Have them as but make sure they're sweet and safe. You know what today's climate's like. Give your son, basically, if you don't have that male aspect in your son's life, you're going to end up with a gay lad.
Or a criminal.
Both.
Or both. Yeah. Or a severely feminized criminal. One of the two.
It's same on the other foot. You know, you've got dads raising girls.
Yeah.
And these girls are becoming tomboys. And that just makes the life difficult.
It's the only influence that they have. Obviously it's gonna happen. And
that's what I'm saying. It's balanced, isn't it? It's like the spiritual aspect.
This is why God has set it up the way
you as a man and you as a woman have brought this child into existence. If this child doesn't get the balance of both of you, it's going to become imbalanced. It needs the energy of both. It needs the spirit of mum and dad. And the spirit of man is completely different to the spirit of women. So, for example, look, you know, when you've got a baby, if the mum picks the baby up, it's normally dead, passionate and considerate and not forceful. And that sort of energy getting passed into the child is the mother's spirit, you know, the empathy, the care. But then if the dad picks it up, it's not aggressive, but it's more forceful. It's more boom, get here.
Awkward as fuck, yeah.
Everything's fast with dad, innit?
Yeah.
Everything's strong type thing. And that's the other type of spirit going into the child. And you need both to have it balanced out.
It's very, very true. And obviously
Don't be afraid,
having,
you single mothers. There's a reason why you're still going. There's a reason why you're able to raise them kids to the best of your ability.
some
It
of the most
doesn't
powerful
matter.
people
At
out there.
least you're feeding your kids. At least you're able to get up every day and look out for your kids. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and people do need to put a lot more respect on single mothers because they are doing all they can do in a fractured society. So, what would you say to the young men in the broken homes?
What happens is with you young lads, mate, you need to start protecting that woman at all costs. She's not why your dad's not in the picture. She's not why you're feeling the way you are. If you're smoking weed like a knobhead and every time you haven't got a spliff in your mouth, you're kicking off on your fucking mother, understand how precious that woman is. That woman will run to the end of the world and back to save you. She's the only one. If you fuck up, the only person you're going to have to rely on is the queen in your fucking life. Start cherishing her. Look out for her. Support her. Even if your mum's fucked with drink and addiction and shit like this, stop treating her like shit. Look after her.
Nearly brought a tear to my eye there, Darren. That's a fucking very, very beautifully worded. That, like, the mother is the queen. The
She is.
mother
That's
is
what
the
it is.
be all and the
You're
end
nothing
all.
without
And
your mum. Your
no
mum can.
matter if they're drug addicts or whatever, they always try the best within their circumstances to raise their kids.
People don't like me saying this, but you can always have someone replacing your dad. You will never, ever, ever get anyone replacing your mother.
No, no. And they are disrespected on every level by most young
Especially
boys.
these days, because you've just got nasty.
Role models, really. Like, there's nothing out there.
If you look at the role models that the media put out there for our kids, initially they all seem great, but the closet work's horrendous, and eventually it all comes out. So you've got, look, I'm an avid fan of all these great fighters, but a lot of them take drugs and batter birds and drink and shit. And what happens is they end up with they end up gambling this big audience of youth. They all love them, and then 10 years later, he turns out to be this horrendous thing. But the kids are still loving him.
Yeah.
And now the kids are watching this process unfold and think it's okay to beat women up. It's okay to go in jail for a little bit and come back
almost
out.
cool.
It really doesn't affect you. You get what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, it's almost
and
like fucking
that's the
street
icons.
cred.
They're like false prophets.
They are exactly like false prophets. Yeah.
What they are, they're leading the youth, they're leading God's children into hell. And that's basically
And they're
what they're
chosen for that purpose, I believe. And they're put there for that purpose, like.
They are to absolutely ruin us. And they have been. It's only a few of us that are able to snap out of it and scream about it.
So obviously, throughout all the unfortunate shit that has came in your life, I would say you're extremely fortunate to have had the awakening that you have had and to snap out of the life that you've had, and something that you should be, well, you probably are anyway, but eternally grateful for even having the ability to do that. There's so many out there that don't.
The gratitude I've got for the basics of life is well earned.
It's fantastic to see, mate. Like, I mean, so most people that have done a length of time like yourself come out very, very, very changed and not for the better, and you're one of the very few examples of
I'm a good soul, and I just got lost as a child. Found myself again.
When your environment is nothing but violence and alcohol and drugs, you're going to incorporate yourself into that. So there's a certain amount, yes, that you're responsible for once you're conscious, but if you're born into that, there's not a lot you can do, but you find your way to that, and that's amazing in and of itself, and you're now putting your life on the line.
Every one of us are born to families and situations that we did not pick, and if them guardians of life that have us as children don't guide us right, then we're on a tougher road than most. But it doesn't mean it's a road of less opportunity. It just means a tougher road to get to the places you want to go to. That's all it is. And as you say, the tougher the road, the tougher the journey, the tougher the character. And every process, everything you're doing has got its own little process with it. And that process is going to create a character within you. And over the years, you'll establish a certain character depending on how you handle each process. Everything's a process. If you embrace it, don't get scared, take your time, don't rush it, get it right, you'll build a character that nothing can knock, nothing can penetrate, and you'll go on in life doing what you should be doing. Encouraging love and kindness around the fucking world and protecting the children so the race of humanity have got a future.
That God has a plan for each and every one of us, and he sends us nothing that we cannot handle. And as twisted as a logic as it may be, you went through what you went through to become the man that you are now, and the lives that you're going to change because of the horrible experiences that you have had is really going to lead on to several more 100 people, hopefully thousands of people not having the experience, the life that you had, who may not be able to handle it and come out the other side, you know. So God has purposed you for a reason, and it's been fantastic to get to chat with you.
Sam, Mark, it's been nice to speak to a solid Irishman.
Yes, you don't get too many of us, but I want to thank you very much for giving up your time today.
No worries, mate.
We would love to have you back on again at some stage. I could talk to you for hours.
I'm going through a madness now, as you said earlier on. You know, with these people trying to cancel me on social media for whatever reason they're doing it. It's obviously the connection to organised crime groups, but yeah, I'll get past that. You know, the English. He's got serious offences coming up. He's in court soon, and all his little soldiers just drop off. It's like you chop the tree down, the monkeys scatter, and that's that. So once they've scattered, I can then continue on this little journey of mine. I choose a life, not a knife. Continue your work. A little journey.
Is there anything you would like to say before we close up?
What, mate? What you say?
Is there anything you would like to share with us before we close up?
Choose a life, not a knife, Ireland. Protect the children, protect the future. Don't be thinking you're alone over there.
Yeah, and I'm going to link all your...
You've got pure bloodline in the UK. The city of Liverpool is predominantly Irish bloodlines. And we all look at Ireland and what you're going through at the moment, and we all think the same way, I believe. Ireland, to us, and majority of individuals like me, is what we call motherland. I've never even been there. I should have went there, but shit in my life stopped it from happening. Peace out.
Hopefully we can change that and get you over in person. And thank you very much, Darren. And it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
All right, Mark. You take care, my mate.
Bye-bye, mate. Bye. So thank you very much for another edition of the Belfast Bapcast.
Yo, you know who it is. Griddle's hot, rumors fly, but the Baps still banging. Let's go! I'm the Batman, Belfast, born and bred. Flipping fried eggs while they talk on threads. They tweet that beef, but I bring real meat. Bacon stacked high, Bap game elite. They chat like they know me, they don't know jack. Talking mad smoke while I'm serving a stack. Hash brown hot with the yolk that runs. I break more fast than 100 nuns. They hate.